Hi everyone, I'm Pam Salokangas. I'm with Center Region Parks and Recreation and I serve as the director.
Good morning, Pam. Thank you for doing this interview with Ferguson Township. We are so excited to be celebrating the July as Parks and Recreation Month, and we really are, happy to share with our community the parks and recreation opportunities that we have in Ferguson Township. But even more, we'd like to really highlight and hear from those that, you know, provide the professional services, that provide the daily work or oversee it or collaborate with the team over at Center Region Parks and Recreation. And so on behalf of Ferguson Township, thank you for all that you do and your team. But we'd like to hear a little bit from you. So
Okay.
if you could start by just sharing a little bit about Center Region Parks and Recreation.
Sure thing. Well, thank you for having me. And I'm always happy to talk about Center Region Parks and Rec. Believe it or not, we have a long history in the Center Region and in State College area. We actually celebrated 50 years in 2016. So this is our 55th year in operation in the Center Region and State College area. And basically our department started with the State College Area School District and grew from there and then went external and became its own agency with the Center Region Council of Governments. So I've been around since 1966 and I am actually only the third director. So that's a long history. The directors before me have stayed for a long time, made this their community, and really wanted to serve the public, and that's what I do as well. I'm really here to kind of serve our community and provide as much as we can for them.
Great. Well, thank you again to you and your previous directors in that position, as well as all of your staff. Thank you for the public service that you all provide. Could you talk a little bit more about the services that are provided through the Center Region Parks and Recreation?
Sure. So we are a full-service Parks and Recreation agency. And by the way, pardon the hair, but it's beautiful out here today, right? We are at a local park. We are a full-service agency and we provide various services for the community. So through the agreement that we have with our local municipalities, one of the biggest divisions that we have is our Parks Operation Division, and that division provides maintenance and management services for all of our local parks. There are 56 regional facilities and local parks that we maintain and manage at the agency. And so that includes day-to-day management of grass mowing, inspections, taking care of playgrounds, inspecting sports fields, taking care of weeds, painting fields, etc. We also do tree care and landscaping. So it's a very long list of what we do on the day-to-day maintenance side. We try to work with our municipalities on capital improvement, making recommendations where possible, or conferring with them if they have questions on equipment replacement, maybe what recommendations we have. So that's one of our biggest divisions. Of course, we operate a couple facilities in the community as well. We operate the Millbrook Marsh Nature Center, and we operate the Park Forest and William Welch Community Pools. So those pool facilities during the season take full-time staff to maintain and manage, and of course we're always hiring seasonal staff in the season to operate those pools. That's lifeguards and swim aides and customer service folks for the front desk. We also have 2 regional parks in the area that we operate, and those regional parks serve for the main hub of our sports leagues and tournaments. So we do host sports leagues. We have, I think, 56 softball teams this year in 2021. And then we also host tournaments that host local teams as well as regional and out-of-state teams throughout the year. I think this year we have about 21 tournaments on the books. So those are 2 very, very busy facilities. And typically our local teams play during the week, and then if there's a tournament, it's held on the weekend. Our local teams and our regional teams drive in for those events. And then our other big division kind of across the entire agency is programming and events. So each of our programming staff either at Millbrook or at the pools or in our main office put together programming for our community, and that is basically anything we can think of that we think the public might be interested in, and also coordinating special events, general interest special events for people to come out and join us and learn a little bit about CRPR, meet people from the community, and get out and enjoy our facilities.
Incredible. Thank you for sharing that. So if you have any thoughts or Anything that comes to mind as far as the special events that you'll be celebrating in July? For July is Parks and Recreation Month, particularly events that are happening in Ferguson Township parks. Would feel free to take a moment to highlight one or two of those events.
I don't have that list memorized,
Oh,
but
we have
lots. We do have lots going on in July. I know I provided a great list for Ferguson Township. I know you guys will be highlighting that. But off the top of my head, things that will be happening, particularly in Ferguson Township, is our Park Picture Pursuit, which is in its 4th year, and this year will be a macro mystery challenge. And so what that is it follows a long line of park mystery challenges we started at the end of 2020, and people do visit parks, and they'll be visiting several parks in Ferguson Township. They actually get to a park, they have to solve a clue. When they solve that clue, it gives them directions for the next step. They may be going to another park in Ferguson Township or leaving the township and going to another community park in another municipality. But in the end, they basically have to solve all these puzzles, provide their answers to me. And this year, macro is the key word because your hints are like this big, right? So if we've taken a picture of something, like a landscape photo, or maybe what you see behind me, I will be focusing in on something very tiny in that photo you have to find. So it's a lot about detail and paying attention to clues.
And community engagement.
Absolutely.
And that is the heart
Yep.
of what I really think brings so many meaningful opportunities for our residents in Ferguson Township is that community engagement, that opportunity to really be neighborly, interactive, engage in healthy activities. Again, I can't thank you all enough. So I also just I'm curious, what inspired you to serve as the director of Center Region Parks and Recreation? And even if you have interest in elaborating, what inspired you to go into this line of work, Parks and Recreation? What's the background of Pam Salokangas?
So it's an interesting story how I ended up back in the Center Region, but I did go to school here. And after I graduated and went on and started my career, my parents relocated to the State College area. And so I was coming home for many holidays and events. At the time we had season tickets, so we were coming home for football. And I had a relationship with the former director, Ron Woodhead. I actually worked for him for a season many, many years ago, and had always thought this would be a great place to come back to and work. I knew the area. I participated in programs and events here when I was a student. Did internship work and class work here. So we had moved away. We were living in Massachusetts, and Ron announced his retirement, and my parents sent me the advertisement and said, I think you should apply to this. And we had just purchased a house, but I said, what the heck, we're gonna throw the hat into the ring and see what happens. And lo and behold, here I am. So I was very happy to be chosen to be the 3rd director here and really be able to come back and try to grow everything that our former directors have done and expand it and improve where we could. So yeah, it feels like coming home again because my parents are here, my family's here, so it's made it very easy. And I actually got into Parks and Recreation through the back door. I started out in hotel restaurant management when I got out of high school, and it was the business that my family and cousins were in, and I didn't like it. What I found out I liked was helping my mom and dad, who are running a bed and breakfast, to create some packages, some programming per se, and some packages that they were doing to entice people to come and stay at their bed and breakfast. And I found out that was really interesting. And at the same time, the town we were living in started its very first Parks and Recreation department. And so I said, I'm going to go investigate that. I actually enrolled in some programs with them. I got onto some sports teams, and I met the brand new director, and I picked her brain probably endlessly to find out more about the field and could you go out and get a degree in this? And that's when I learned that you could, that there was an actual degree for the type of work that we do. And that launched me going back to school. I took 5 years off. Since I wasn't in love with hotel restaurant management, I found my way to Parks and Recreation in that 5 years, and I came back as a sophomore to Penn State and was enrolled in the Parks Recreation Management program. So Yeah, it came in through the back door.
That is how it works
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
that's how you know there's
Yeah.
so much passion and commitment that comes with individuals like yourself, because it took a little bit more, understanding who you are, where your interests lie, and it becomes more natural.
Yeah.
And it's a step, right?
Yeah.
To be able to say, I no longer am going to do this, I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And certainly we have benefited from having you
Thank
here
you.
in the center region.
Thank you.
I see the work that you're doing, and thank you.
Yeah.
So, with all of that shared, what are the rewarding aspects of Parks and Recreation, or the work that you do? What's most rewarding for you as the director of Center Region Parks and Recreation?
So that's really an easy question for me to answer. One of the things I love about my job is creating opportunities or opening doors. So I've had the same experiences that I'm trying to create for our community. I've taken classes. I'll give you an example. I was in a department in Virginia, and we started a relationship with our library to start genealogy classes. It was really the hot thing. Ancestry.com was a brand new online program, and we thought, let's help people learn how to trace their ancestry. And I enrolled in that class, and it opened up a passion for me that I have in my private life to trace my ancestry. And so I love creating those same opportunities for people. So no matter the crazy programs we might come up with, at some point, someone's going to enroll in one of those classes and find maybe a new passion that they've never had. It could be photography, it could be genealogy, it could be a sport. We just got our tennis program rebuilt this year. We had a long layoff, and we've had so many people waiting patiently to get back into tennis and learn some skills. Tennis is a lifelong sport, so for us to be able to create that opportunity for people to enroll, maybe freshen their skills or learn some new skills, and then be able to play for the rest of their lives, that's what gets my juices flowing. I really, really enjoy connecting people to a new experience, and then they might find out they don't like it, and that's okay too, but then maybe they move on to the next program. For example, we have a disc golf clinic coming up, and a lot of people want to learn how to play. What are the rules? Yes, it's like ball golf, but it is played differently. And what are these discs that I play with? How do I hold them? These are the kind of things that we can just give a little clinic, and people are off and running in another lifelong sport. So those are the kind of things that I love about Parks and Rec. And even for youth, it's the same kind of thing. As we want children to be able to experience different things, whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it is sports, or other kinds of programs. And then what we're doing with these mystery challenges, the goal ultimately is to introduce people to all of our community parks, because we have some great gems here. And in just getting kids to experience the playground equipment, or the basketball courts, or even other play areas is the goal, because you're just opening up opportunity.
Pam, here today we're at Haymarket Park. What do you appreciate or favor the most about Haymarket Park here in Ferguson Township?
Yes, so it is a beautiful day to be out in the parks today, and over my shoulder you can see what I love about Haymarket Park. This is a great example of a mixed-use park. So Haymarket has multiple focuses. Is that focuses? So over my shoulder, you're actually going to see that there is a mowed sports field. And then beyond that, you're going to see that there are pavilions and a wonderful new playground here at Haymarket. We also have sand volleyball courts behind me. And probably later, as the camera pans around, you're going to see that there is a wonderful walking, or shared use path, I should say, bike path, walking path, that goes right through this park. So it has multiple amenities, and it serves multiple people in the community. So it supports those people that are focused on sports. We typically have youth traditional football that plays here. Sometimes you're going to see ultimate frisbee people playing here as well. And then of course people that want to come out and enjoy the park generally, coming out with their kids to play on the playground, or enjoy this path, stopping here on the bridge. this park supports a lot of people. And even all the way on the other side of the park is the other piece of that shared youth path that connects the neighborhood that's behind Haymarket Park. So it really allows people to come in and out of the park very easily. And when you drive by on Blue Course, it is a beautiful vista. We have a lot of different mowing patterns going on, so you can see the very short cropped mow that we have on our sports field, and over my other shoulder, which you should see probably a little bit later in some photos, is our natural areas that are growing in some of the stormwater management basins here at Haymarket, and they're beautiful. We have a lot of flowering plants right now which serve our pollinator community, so we're trying to hit everybody, humans and our insects.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right. There's so much mixed use here at Haymarket Park. And really, I mean, a lot of our parks, I think, are relatively diversified.
Yes.
Offering a wide range of opportunities for young people, children, infants, and older people to get outside and, just explore outdoor pollinators and play, walk, bike. It's incredible.
And if I can add one thing to that,
Absolutely.
What we observed during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic in 2020, is people really demonstrated their appreciation for our parkland, because everybody wanted to continue to exercise and be out in fresh air, and our parks, people came out in droves to the parks. And so we were really surprised with the volume that took place during the pandemic in 2020, and we're continuing to see that volume stay. Even though mitigation efforts are now lifting, people are becoming vaccinated, they're still coming out and using the parks, and so we're really pleased with that turnout.
Us as well. See everyone out and continuing to be out. I know for myself, like, it was a blessing to have outdoor opportunities during the pandemic with 4 kids and 2 dogs. Staying inside, it was a struggle. And it was so healthy to go outside. My kids were willing to go outside when it was like 20 degrees because, well, that's all there was to do. Is there anything you would like to see happen with Center Region Parks and Recreation in the future? And that's a pretty wide open question. So feel free to answer it. However makes sense to you. I have a couple of answers off the top of my head to that. One is continuing to work on our relationships. So one of the things we try to explain to our customers is that we are basically caretakers. Many of our local community parks are owned by the municipalities, but we are charged with the maintenance and management of that. So we're always trying to work on our relationship with the municipalities, making sure we're doing what they'd like to see in the parks. And sometimes it varies between the different municipalities. Sometimes priorities are different. And so we try to do our best to meet that need and also meet the need of the community members. So we always want to work on those relationships. And I think we have some priorities and some projects we want to work on over the next 5 to 10 years. Many of them came out of our comprehensive study that we completed over the last 2.5 years. We accepted the action plan back in March of 2020, and there's still a lot of work to do on that. So that's one focus of the agency. And then I think for us on a programming level, we'd really like to expand some of our services. I think there's some gaps for programming that we're not able to provide right now because we may not have the appropriately trained staff on to provide those programming. And I'll give you an example. We're building the first fully accessible playground in the area where all of the equipment is accessible for those who may use a wheeled device or assisted walking devices. And so we want to continue to be able to expand our programs for people with disabilities and really create adaptive programming so that we could do more. I think we're underserving that community, and I think that's an area we'd like to expand. And that's one example where we could do a lot more. We really need a trained therapeutic recreation specialist on staff, and so we're looking to try to add that over the next few years as well. That's really good to hear. I know we have residents often inquire about accessibility, and even more, I think when we're continuing to explore and discuss ways that we can expand inclusivity in the parks, that's great. So thank you again for that. And Pam, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to interview you and hear more about Center Region Parks and Recreation, your background, how you've arrived here in State College to serve here, and to provide really great services with Parks and Recreation through Center Region Parks and Recreation. Are there any shout outs to staff or community members that you'd like to give?
Yeah.
Please take this time to do that.
Yeah, so a couple things happening. So we are talking about July as Parks and Recreation Month. And there's a very special day in that month as well. In the state of Pennsylvania, we celebrate Parks and Recreation Professionals Day. And so we are really going to take that day to thank all of our staff. We want to get out in the field. We want to videotape them and photograph them doing the things they do. We're asking them to share their stories as well this month so we can highlight them. But since we're in Haymarket Park, I would like to do a shout out to our parks operations team. Jim Carpenter and Ted Weaver are our leaders in that department, manager and assistant manager. They work closely with all the municipalities and their various staff in public works or in admin in balancing those priorities and those needs. And their full-time team is the best. We don't often see them, we just arrive at a park and it's beautiful. But they're here, they're mowing, they're taking care of trees, they are mowing these fields and painting them when necessary. They're inspecting and making sure the playgrounds are safe. They're trying to get mulch in there, they're trying to get more sand in the volleyball courts. There's a lot to do, but that team works hard and I know they love what they do, and they have that same feeling that they're creating this great play space and this safe space, and they go home at night and know, I did a great job today. So I'm throwing a shout out to our parks operations team, particularly Jim and Ted for their leadership for their team, and to include all of our seasonal staff that come on every year. We just saw Lois a little while ago in the park, and she typically does our park checks and checks trash and oversees pavilions, and it takes the whole team in that division to make this run, and our admin team supports them as well. So a big thank you for all that they do. We're really proud of what they do, and yes, we know we could do more and we get behind when there's rain, but these guys and gals work really, really hard, and we're really proud of them. So I want to say a big thank you to our team.
Well, on behalf of Ferguson Township, we also appreciate all of your teams. Any other shout outs that you'd like to give?
I just want to say to the rest of our full-time staff who have endured a really tough year, we all say thank you to the community for continuing to support Parks and Recreation. You've participated, you've come out to the parks, but I want to say a big thank you to them as well. They've had to change the way they program. They've had to find new ways to deliver programming for you or create activities. They've worked really, really hard, and they're very happy to see the turn coming where, again, restrictions are lifting. They're able to kind of slowly move back to normal operations, and they're so happy to see people in programs and now can see their whole face, right? The masks are coming off. We're seeing those smiles. They can actually, see that and feel it. So I give a shout out to our entire full-time team because they've had a tough year, but they're still here, they're still with us, and they're still creating new things for all of you. So we're really proud of them.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I just want to gently say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me.